Okay, everyone. So now all of you have not joined in this class, so I will wait 2 minutes. 2 minutes more. Still, all of you have not submitted your copy in group. And one thing you have not written in your practical copy. Why? Do you have practical copy? Hello. Why are you not talking? Farista. Why are you not talking?
ম্যাম প্র্যাকটিক্যাল কপিতে কৰিছো।
Okay, but some of you have written in a rough copy and submitted. Okay, but for now it is okay, but you have to write in your copy and you have to submit it.
ম্যাম আৰু আমাৰ কেইটা প্ৰ্যাকটিকেল হ'ব?
প্ৰেক্টিকেল চাও দিয়া তোমালোকৰ মানে ক্লাছ কেতিয়ালৈকে শেষ হয় বা কেতিয়ালৈকে এনেকৈ ডিপেণ্ড কৰে কাৰণ এতিয়ালৈকে আজি ফ'ৰ্থ নাম্বাৰ এক্সপেৰিমেণ্টটো ডিছকাছ কৰিম চাওঁ আৰু কিমানটা কৰিব পাৰোঁ চ' others what happened to you? You have not submitted your practical copy? Okay, let me tell about experiment number 3. That one is separation pH determination. So okay, open the PDF file or open the copy you have written. In that practical, I have given you one chart and a conclusion. See the observation, that one is a table. So in serial number 1, in sample number, and you have to write the sample number. You will given you the means examiner will give you the or provide you some solution. Okay, and it will be labeled as sample number 1, 2, like that. And in serial number 1, you have to write sample number 1, and in color of the page paper you have to write, when you dip the page paper in that sample number 1, what color you found, you have to write the color. Okay, in pH value, if you compare the pH paper with the color shade of the pH scale, you can see that the color will match some value. So you have to write that value, which color, which pH value it is matching the color. And in type of the solution, what type of solution you get for sample number 1, you have to write down this. For some example, say sample number 1 is acidic. So color of the pH paper you will found pink or red. Okay, pH value will found from 0 to 7 for acidic solution. And in type of the solution you have to write sample number 1 is a acidic solution. Type of the solution you have to only write the acidic solution. Okay, that's like this you have to write the others. And in conclusion, I have given you sample number dash and dash are acidic. In dash, you have to write down what solution, what sample you found for acidic. And in second, sample number dash are basic, which sample number you found as basic. And sample number dash is neutral, and which sample number is you found as a neutral solution. Okay. So for now, you keep this blank. After performing the experiment, you have to write down this. Okay, so come to the next experiment. That one is experiment number 4. So write down the experiment number 4. The experiment date is 6 of November 2020. Okay,
কিমান ডেট দিম 3rd নম্বৰ এক্সপেৰিমেন্টটো
কি কলা
দেন যোনটো এইমাত্ৰ কৰিলো 3rd নম্বৰটো সেইটো ডেট কিমান দিম
সেইটো ডেট কলো দেখোন and you have
আৰু
not written some of you have not written the experiment date you have to write down the experiment date also I have already told you in previous class means today from 1 p.m. you have a class right so that class I have told you the which date you have you had this experiment so come to this experiment number 4 that one is I'll share you a presentation wait a minute and why are you giving your attendance now why are you giving your roll numbers in the chat box have I asked for give you roll numbers if I ask then you only give your roll numbers so our experiment number 4 is aim of our experiment is preliminary investigation of given salt note down the date the experiment date and you have to write the page number properly you have to write the experiment date and experiment number also okay so a preliminary investigation of given salt means the examiner will provide you some salt. Four or five or more salt will be provided. Then you have to check the you have to check the preliminary means you have to check the color. You have to check the physical state, solubility, etc. Okay. So for this theory of this experiment is salt is an ionic compound that contains a cation as a basic part and an anion as a acidic part. Okay, so some example of salt are sodium chloride, copper chloride, etc. You can search in Google. Google. So some other salts are available there. So you have to know at least four to five salt. I have given you here two salt only. So I will give you the PDF in WhatsApp group. So you can take screenshot if you like, and if you don't like, then leave it. So why I have given you that salt is a ionic compound that contains a cation as a acidic part, as a basic part and anion as a acidic part. Okay. So why I have given cation and anion? Do you know what is cation and what is anion? Do you know what is cation and what is anion? What happened to you?
Cation is positively charged and anion is negatively charged.
Yes. Cation is positively charged and anion is negatively charged. Yes, very good. So I have taken a sodium chloride as an example of salt. So sodium ion is a part of cation and chloride ion is a part of anion. When these two ions are combined, then we will get a salt. That one is sodium chloride salt. Okay. So preparation of salt. when the acid and base will react its together, then we will get back salt and water. So if we take a sodium chloride as an example of salt, and then sodium plus chloride will give us a sodium chloride as a salt, and you will get a water. Okay. So this one is a crystal structure of sodium chloride. You can take screenshot because it looks so good. Nah? So you can see two balls are present. One is green ball and one is blue ball. Okay. So blue balls denoted as sodium ion and green ball are chloride ion. Okay. So these are the properties of sodium chloride. Sodium chloride are we used daily in our food. Sodium chloride is here are some properties of sodium chloride. See this. The first point is it is easily soluble in water and partially insoluble in other liquids. So if you dissolve some sodium chloride in water, it will soluble in it will be properly soluble in water. Okay. So next point is they are white crystals which do not have an odor but processes a taste. So can you tell me sodium chloride how taste it? Sodium chloride, what is the taste? Can you tell me?
Salty.
Yes, sodium chloride is tastes like salty. I have told you already that sodium chloride we used for eating. Okay, so next point, see this. It is in aqueous state, sodium chloride acts as a good conductor of electricity. If you dissolve some sodium chloride in water, because aqua means what? Aqua means water, right? So in aqueous state means when we dissolve some sodium chloride in water, that solution can be a good conductor of electricity. Means through it the electricity can passes. Okay, next point is it has a melting point of 801 degrees Celsius and boiling point 1413 degrees Celsius. Next we have use of sodium chloride. So first use we know it is widely used in food industries because we need salty taste in our food. So next point is it is a major raw material in the industries manufacturing of various chemicals such as sodium carbonate, sodium hydrogen carbonate, etc. So if if some industries are producing sodium carbonate and sodium hydrogen carbonate, etc., they need sodium chloride as a raw material. Okay, so next point is this salt is used in glass production. Next point is in cold countries it is used to prevent the buildup of ice on road, bridges, etc., which is important for safe driving conditions. Okay, so next we have apparatus required for this experiment. For this experiment, we have to take test tube holder, dropper, and burner, etc. for this experiment. So next we have procedure. So how to do this practical in lab? For preliminary investigation of given salt, you have to check the color. So color you can easily see by your eye. So the color can be blue, white. Next we can found this orange color. Okay, so many color you can found for salt because so many salt are present in laboratory, right? So next you have to check the physical state of the given salt. For physical state you have to check whether the salt is crystalline or or amorphous. Okay, so next we have to check the solubility. Okay, so for solubility, to check the solubility, you have to take a pinch of salt in a test tube and you have to add the solvent. These solvent are you can use for solubility test. So when you have to check, you have to take a pinch of salt in a test tube. Next you have to add first water. So first, if you add cold water, then after shaking, if the salt is dissolving in cold water, that means the solubility of the salt is in water. Okay, if the salt is remain in test tube, means if the salt will not dissolve in cold water, then you have to heat it. Okay, after heating, if the salt is soluble in hot water, then you have to write down that solubility of that salt is in hot water. If the salt is not dissolving in hot water also, then you have to add HCl, dilute HCl. If the salt is dissolved in HCl, then you have to write down the solubility of that salt is dilute HCl. Next, you have to if the salt is remain in test tube and it is not dissolving in dilute HCl, then you have to add concentrated HCl. If the solubility you found for concentrated HCl, then you have to write it. If the salt is remain in the test tube, then you have to add the H2SO4, dilute and concentrated, like that. Okay, so that's where this way you can find the solubility of the salt. Next, you have to see the color of the solution. After dissolving, the solution is prepared. So that solution, what color you found for that solution, you have to write down this in your copy. Okay, so after performing the experiment, in conclusion part, you have to write down that for salt number 1, because more salts will be provided. So in you have to write down like salt number 1, color of the salt you found, which color you have to write down. Next, physical state, what physical state you found, crystalline or amorphous. Next, solubility, which in which solvent the salt is dissolved, so you have to write down the solubility. Next, color of the salt solution. After dissolving of salt, what color you found for that solution, you have to write down that color. Okay, this much only. All of you, I think not all of you, some of you who have passed SS from science stream, they already do this. So any confusion, you can ask me today. From the first slide to last slide, have you any confusion? You can ask. If you understood, then you should tell me that yes, ma'am, we understand this.
Ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am, conclusion টা আকৌ দিব পাৰিবনে স্ক্ৰীনশ্বট মাৰি লওঁ
yes. I will give you the PDF file also.
okay ma'am
This one, take now. I will give you
okay
the
ma'am thank
PDF
you
file. Okay.
मैम प्रोसीड्यूर वो उसको थोड़ा पढ़ा दीजिए और एक बार
Okay, procedure for procedure. So first you have to check the color. Color you can see easily. Next, physical state of the given salt. I have done some mistake here because it is a one sentence. Okay. Now it is okay. See this, for preliminary investigation of given salt, you have to check the color. So there are so many colors: orange, blue, white, and colorless. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you: sodium chloride. Do you know what is the color of sodium chloride?
White.
No, actually, sodium chloride is a colorless. Okay, don't do
Okay.
mistake in this one. So I have written somewhere that sodium chloride is a white, but no, sodium chloride is a colorless. Okay. So, and it
Okay,
is
ma'am.
what is the physical state of sodium chloride? Can you tell?
And crystallize.
Yes, crystalline, not crystallize. Crystalline.
Okay, ma'am.
Physical state of sodium chloride is crystalline. Okay. So next you have to check the physical state. Okay. After that you have to check the solubility. So for solubility test, you have to take a pinch of salt in a test tube, a clean test tube. You take a clean test tube and take a pinch of salt in that test tube and add as these are the solvent, water, that means cold water and hot water. Next dilute HCl, concentrated HCl, dilute sulfuric acid and concentrated sulfuric acid. So if you take salt number 1 in a test tube and you add some water, first take cold water. If the salt 1 is dissolving in cold water, that means solubility of salt number 1 is cold water. Okay, got it. Next you take salt number 2. If salt number 2 is in soluble in cold water, then it is okay. If the salt is not dissolving in cold water, then you have to warm it. Okay, you have to give heat. After that, if you found that salt number 2 is dissolving in hot water, then salt number 2 solubility you can write in hot water. Next, take salt number 3 and you add water. If it is not dissolving, take another test tube and add some dilute H2SO HCl. And if it is soluble in HCl, then it is okay. If it is not, then take another test tube, or you can clean that previous test tube and take again the salt in test tube, and you again add the concentrated HCl. Now if you can see the salt is completely dissolved in concentrated HCl, then you can write the solubility. If the salt is not dissolving in dilute or concentrated HCl, then you have to take another test tube and you have to add a salt and you have to add the dilute H2SO4. Okay, like that you have to add one by one. Got it? After dissolving dissolve the salt, you can clearly see the color of the salt solution. Okay, so what color is you are observing, that color you have to write down in the color of the salt solution. Got it? Or should I repeat it again?
Ma'am, you
Got it, ma'am.
please.
Yes?
Ma'am, can you repeat, please?
और फिर से रिपीट करना है? ओके रुको, मेरा गला सूख गया, मैं पानी पी के आती हूँ। ओके, कौन सी लैंग्वेज में बोलने से ज्यादा अच्छा होगा वो बोलो पहले।
English, ma'am.
English? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So everyone listen carefully. For preliminary investigation, this one is so simple. First you have to check the color of the salt. So many color you can found, because some salt will be provided, 5 or more salt will be provided. So each of the color of the salt you have to observe the color and you have to write down the color. Got it? Next you have to write down the physical state of the given salt. Physical state can be crystalline or amorphous. Okay, got it? Next you have to check the solubility of the salt. So for solubility of the salt, you have to take a pinch of salt in a test tube and you have to add first water. If the salt is soluble in cold water, that means the solubility is in cold water. If the salt is not dissolving in cold water, then you can give some heat. And if the salt is dissolving in hot water, then you have to write down the solubility of that salt is in hot water. Got it? So next, for next salt, you have to taste all the salt solubility of all the salt. Okay, got it? So first, take example, salt number 1, you found the solubility is in hot water. Got it? Next salt, you have to taste that one also. So for that, you have to take a pinch of salt in test tube and you have to add water first. Next, hot water. Next, if it is not dissolving, then add a dilute HCl. Means you have to take another big test tube and you have to add salt, then you have to add dilute HCl. Got it? Not in the same test tube which one is used for water. Okay, so take a pinch of salt in test tube and add dilute HCl. If the salt is dissolving, then you can write down the solubility of the salt is in dilute HCl. If the salt is not dissolving, then after that you have to take another test tube and you have to take that salt and you have to add concentrated HCl. Okay. And one thing, if you are going to add some concentrated acid, don't forget to hold the test tube by test tube holder. Okay, so if the salt is dissolving in concentrated HCl, then okay, you can write down this solubility for that salt is in concentrated HCl. If the salt is not dissolving in concentrated HCl also, then you can take another test tube, you add the salt, then you add dilute H2SO4. Okay, if the salt is not dissolving in dilute H2SO4 also, then you go through the concentrated sulfuric acid, concentrated H2SO4. Got it? So many solvent are there. So first you can taste by this solvent only. After, if some salt are not dissolving in this solvent, then we will give the other solvent. So don't worry, those salt who will be provided, the salt will be dissolving in this solvent only. Okay, have you any confusion? Have you any confusion? I think no, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So now you start giving your roll numbers in chat box. So give your roll number in chat box. Okay, tell me, right? For DTIT who are present, can you tell? I will take your attendance like that. DTIT.
Ma'am 018.
So DDIT first, tell DDIT 0.
And 018.
004, ma'am. 017.
Wait. Tell one by one. 004.
004, ma'am.
Yes. Next.
007.
018.
007. 018
011
001
005
06 17
06
011
11
05
17
17 I have written.
05 ma'am
05
009 ma'am
okay 9
ma'am 014
014
015
15
08
huh 08 0 done DD8 is done
019
19 okay 19
ma'am 008
yes I have written. Anyone left for DDIT? No, right? So now tell me for DOT.
05
05. Next, DOT. Only from DOT only 05 is present, right? Okay. From DPT,
002
okay, 2
012
006
012. Next,
006
okay, 6. Next,
09
09. Next, from DPT, this much.
013
Okay, 13. From DPT, anyone left? Okay, from DRT,
ma'am 044
044.
ma'am
064
Wait. One by
064, ma'am.
okay, 064
ma'am double
ma'am
zero four
049
49.
yes ma'am
Next,
ma'am 01
01
ma'am
4
058
053
ma'am 058
58
ma'am 020
020
52
52
023 ma'am
023
ma'am 004
004 and
ma'am 046
46
ma'am 051
51. And one left for DRT
066
66. Anyone?
ma'am 066
That's written 066
Ma'am 040.
40.
Ma'am 040.
I have written. Anyone from DRT?
52 ma'am
I have written 52. DRT and one left.
ma'am DOT 003
DOT 003.
ma'am DOT 002
Okay, 002. So anyone left from all departments who left? Anyone left for All of you have given your roll numbers? I think no. Right? So can I end the class right here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, everyone. Thank you, everyone. I am in
Thank
the
you.
class.